Hi there, my name is Nona Barker, and this is my MET Reflection video. I thought I'd start out by telling you a little bit about myself first. I'm currently living in Rocky Mountain House, Alberta. It's a small town, but it's a beautiful place to live and work because we're tucked right into the Canadian Rockies. I live here with my husband Wade, who is also a teacher. He teaches math and science, and we'll try not to hold that against him. Of course, I teach high school English, and I have been teaching for 22 years. My technology background is interesting to say the least. When I started out in education, everyone had to take a computer course for educators, and it was horrible. No, I'm not kidding you, it was horrible. It had no practical application at all, and it was frustrating, and I just seemed to go nowhere. And that's why my friends who knew me back then find it really funny that I'm doing a master in educational technology, because the technology and I were not the best of friends when I first started out teaching. However, my love of technology grew, and I started to use it whenever I could, and the English department I belonged to was really proactive. We did web quests, we used internet for research, all kinds of things, and we started our own cohort called Tech Tuesdays, where we invited everyone from the division out to work on technology and try different tools and things like that. But I still didn't feel like I knew enough, and so I decided to pursue a Master's of Educational Technology at Boise State, and I'm so glad I did. It's made all the difference to me. The first artifact I would like to share with you is my EdTech 541 final project. This was one of the first courses that I took at Boise State. This one was really important to me because I wanted to be recognized as an educational technologist. It also was important to me because it was my first year as a teacher librarian, and I was working in a new capacity at the school. In many ways, this course became my foot in the door. It allowed me to build new relationships. And one of the first relationships I built was with the ITs. And that assignment was where we had the face-to-face field trip. We were asked to go out and interview people that look after our network, and I had to tell you, I'd never even thought about what they do. I was just one of those people that showed up and expected things to run, and so that was really great to not only to meet them, but to see things through their eyes and what it took to get this network running and maintaining it. I'm really grateful for this assignment because now I have this great relationship with the ITs, and I really have a better understanding of what it was like for them. Another relationship that this particular course let me build was one with the special education teacher. I had never worked with the special education teacher before. This assignment here, the assistive technologies across the curriculum, had me looking at technologies that could make a difference for students with learning difficulties. And I had mentioned this to the teacher. She was quite interested as well, and together we were able to find applications and technologies that worked with her students. And I really enjoyed building that relationship and working with her class, and it made a huge difference to me, and hopefully to her and her students. Another relationship that this course allowed me to build was one with one of our new teachers. And, she was very gung-ho and eager to try new things, and no one in our school had actually used the students' phones as a learning tool. So we were kind of cutting edge here, and we took the assignment, Poetry in Motion, and we actually built it to meet the needs of grade 9 students. We called it Poetry for Now, and we worked through it, and it was a great experience. And by the end, the students were really surprised to see that their phone or their tablet or Chromebook, whatever they had, could be a tool for learning, not just something that was for entertainment, something that they just played on. And I think they also had a greater appreciation for poetry, because the whole idea was that poetry was everywhere. We created our own acceptable use policy, and we had them sign it like a contract. That really sent the message home to them that this was a serious thing, and that we wanted them to really think about how they use their phones and be responsible. So as you can see, this course made a huge difference to me. This course not only helped me build new relationships, it also got me to looking at the role of the teacher. And it was one of the first courses that made me think about the teacher as guide. And that came about because of this particular assignment here. It's an interactive presentation assignment where I had the students look at parody and satire. And instead of me being, the one to direct the learning where I used the projector and the smartboard and that sort of thing, what I did here is I had each student get a Chromebook. They had the link to this slideshow on Schoology, and they went through it themselves at their own pace, and they chose the examples that they looked at. What an amazing experience it was. It was really cool to see them working on their own and learning, and basically I was just there as an assist, and that really opened up my eyes. And so because this course taught me about this sort of approach to learning and teaching, because it helped me build new relationships, it's one that I've really appreciated. And I still come back to this website. Other teachers on my staff use it. It's just really made the difference to me, and I think that's why I want to showcase it here. The next artifact I would like to share with you is my project-based learning unit that I created for EdTech 542. My particular project is called Heroes Rise. One thing that I really appreciated about project-based learning is that it's very flexible. It works with any curriculum. So we'll just scroll down here, and you could see here that it works with, I think, 5 specific outcomes in the Alberta curriculum. And it obviously also works with the ISTE standards, and so I like the flexibility. And when I looked at my peers' projects, I could see that project-based learning works with almost any course, any age group. So it's very flexible, and that's one thing that I really appreciate about it, and I think that's why it's a worthwhile type of approach to learning. And one of the things that struck me also was the driving question, that whole idea. Before, in the past, I'd used the essential questions, but I never thought about having one driving question that the students could answer by the end of a unit or project. Another element that I liked was the fact that you not only develop a calendar so that you have everything laid out, and you have to do that with project-based learning, but you share this calendar with your students. I never even thought of that before, but one thing it did was it got them to see what we were doing each day and when things were due and what was expected. I have to say I actually brought this idea into my other courses as well. So in the past, I just relied on the syllabus, but now I have a calendar in our learning management system. For my media studies students, I have a calendar built right into our website so that they know when due dates are, and it just keeps everyone organized and on task, and I think it really sets the tone as well, how important it is to get things done on time. The other thing that was great about this course is how well it tied in with a new initiative that the Alberta government brought into place last year, and it was called Inspiring Education. They looked at what they call the 3 E's, which are the engaged thinker, ethical citizen, and entrepreneurial spirit. Project-based learning meets all of those 3 areas. So it keeps students engaged, it teaches them how to be ethical when it comes to research and sharing information and how they behave in a group setting and all of those things. And I think in some ways it does teach them to be entrepreneurial as well, because they have to go out and they have to book appointments and they have to get things done. And I also liked how goal oriented it was. Each group had to set a goal, they collaborated together, they developed a contract, the students had to sign it, they're in charge of their own planning, they had to present to a live audience. Project-based learning really helps them master skills that go beyond just their language arts skills. Another thing that I really liked as well is the idea of checklists. So basically, students, if they chose to write an article, the checklist gives them everything that they need to cover, right? So they can go through this carefully and check off what's done, and if they miss something, they can go back and do it again. And I love the whole idea of entry events. I think that is one way to build curiosity, to hook kids, get them thinking about, what's going to happen? I like how it's a springboard. I like how it fits into the curriculum. It's just there's so much you can do with it. Just be forewarned, it does take longer than you think it will, so you have to be prepared for that, but it's well worth it. As my principal said, something that PBL is great fun, but it's messy, especially when you're first starting out. The last artifact I would like to share with you is the website that I built for EdTech 506, which is Graphic Design for Learning. And in this course, we were to construct 8 different graphics using a different set of design principles for each one. And the purpose of these 8 graphics were to help students learn a particular concept. And I thought that graphics, because they're colorful and they're appealing, that would work really well with my English 10-2 students. These students are not academic, and I wanted to do something that would kind of hook them and help them make this process a little bit more user-friendly. That is what this particular website and the graphics that I designed did. I never even really thought about the graphics that I selected for instruction. I just picked them. I thought they worked. You know, I didn't think about all the design elements that went into them, what really worked, what helped the learner. And now I have that under my belt, so to speak, and it's made a huge difference in my teaching. One of the things that I like about the website is that it's done up like an advanced organizer, and based on my readings for the course, that is something that makes it a lot easier for the user. So here we start in home, and all the lessons are in order. They go from left to right. Everything's broken down into chunks, but if the students want to come and review, they can simply click on the graphic that they need to. One of the graphics that really stands out for me, and I think it's because it worked really well with my students, is the thesis analogy graphic. And this particular graphic was based on the Ace It with Pat principles of design. And in a nutshell, that design principle wants you to really think about what's needed in the graphic to help get your point across. At the same time, I thought I would use a metaphor or an analogy, because I had read in the text that if you use a metaphor, it helps to make the strange familiar. And what I did is I made the analogy that the car and the thesis were one and the same. So a car takes the driver and the passenger from point A to B, and the thesis does the same thing, but it takes the writer and the reader from point A to be. I wanted them to get the idea that the thesis isn't just for them, the writer, it's also for their audience. It helps the audience see where you are taking them, and it also helps the writer stay on track, to stay on course. Another thing that was really interesting, because I was worried about having too much text, is I tested this graphic with my colleagues and my students that I had at the time. One thing that was really cool is they said, if you did not have the teacher there, would they know who was who, and would things be as clear as you expect them to be? And so that's why I added in the legend, to treat it even more so like a map, because you're taking your student on a journey, and so every map has a legend. Another thing that the course encouraged us to do was to bring in tech tools and things that would also help improve the learning. And so one of the things that I found was a thesis builder, and I'd never found or used anything like that before. And it's very interactive. The students go in and they can plug in different words and phrases, and by the time they go through the whole process, it spits out a thesis at the end. And so the combinations of the graphics and a tech tool or an app at the same time really worked well. Another graphic that I think is quite effective, this here, believe it or not, is a writing checklist. It doesn't look like it. It's very visual and it's attractive. The colors that you see here are based on the students' feedback. They like the bright oranges and greens. Usually when we get to this point where we're trying to go through the mark guide or going through the checklist, when you have 10-2 students, they just want to, write this thing and get it done and move on. But I really like this. It helped to slow things down, helped to break things into chunks, which is why I think it worked so well. So I didn't have to cover everything at once. Sometimes you think you have to. So what was great is I could say, okay, we're just going to look at main courses. We're going to look at voice and word choice, and that's it. And what does that mean, and how can it make it more effective in your writing? What's interesting is the students started to pick up the words, especially when they started to work on their comment coaching. Thank you for taking the time to watch my reflection video. I really appreciate it. I would like to take the time to thank my professors at Boise State University. You are wonderful people, and I wouldn't have made it without you.